その名もメガフォース1、人類の夢。
八坂神の勾玉。降伏しなよ、戦闘丸くん。
Want to be a ridiculously powerful Radiant God? A type of build that blows up everything in its way in a Radiant and Thunder explosion. I really wanted to make a build that is a debuff stacking monster capable of destroying everything by just simply getting close to them, blowing everything up in a spectacular thunderous and radiant explosion. This is undoubtedly one of the nastiest Radiant builds that you can ever make and is the Spellcaster version of my debuff stacking Toxic Berserker build. This time we'll be doubling down on some chain reaction of different stacking triggers like Prone in Daze as well as freezing hordes of enemies along the way. This build is gonna maximize one of the most basic abilities like Jump or Fly and turn it into one of the most broken debuff stacker by literally acting as a guided missile to decimate your foes. This is possible because of the new subclass that was introduced in patch number 8 and the combination of two of the most underrated classes in the final version. In order to make this build happen, we're gonna need to use the Druid Circle of the Stars as our base. The Circle of the Stars Druid has the new ability called Starry Form, which can let us transform into different constellation that has new abilities depending on that type. In our case, we're gonna be using the constellation the Dragon using the Dazzling Breath ability. The Dazzling Breath is a cone AoE attack that deals radiant damage plus your spellcasting modifier with just the cost of your bonus action. This wide AoE ability will trigger the effect of our very own gloves, which is the Gloves of Belligerent Skies that has the Thunderous Conversion ability. When we deal radiant, lightning, and thunder damage, in our case radiant damage from the Dazzling Breath, we can inflict 2 stacks of reverberation charges. Reverberation is a condition that blows up your enemies. Once the stacks exceeds 5 or more, it will also deal thunder damage and prone your targets. To double down on the debuff / condition abilities, we're gonna be combining the passives of the Cold Brim Hat and the Boots of Stormy Clamor. The headpiece will inflict the Encrusted in Frost, while the boots will inflict the reverberation charges when we deal any condition or debuffs to our targets. Both of these abilities are debuff. Most likely they'll be triggering each other, which is crazy. Remember, 7 stacks of Encrusted in Frost will freeze your enemies for 2 turns. Once they are frozen, they're gonna be vulnerable to thunder and bludgeoning damage, doubling our damage output for that turn. Frozen is also a condition, so obviously it's gonna be stacking Reverberation and Encrusted in Frost, which is gonna be a really nasty combination. You can just imagine the chain reaction effect of this debuff combination, which is quite ridiculous. What if we add more radiant damage to amplify the speed of that debuff stacking? In order to do this, we're gonna need the ability of the Light Cleric to spread as much radiant damage using the Radiance of the Dawn, which has one of the widest AoE ability in the game. Plus, the Spirit Guardian spell, which deals massive radiant damage per turn. Each explosion of that radiant damage will cause even more debuff stacks and triggers that'll happen in a single turn, making this build the static nuclear monster of death. In order to turn this already monstrous build into a broken tier, we're gonna speed up the stacking even more using the Drunken Master Monk's abilities. This class is perfect for a debuff stacking build, especially for this one, because of its innate debuff that we can throw in the pile of debuff stacking, which is the Drunk condition. The Drunk is also a condition, so most likely it will still stack that Frost and Reverberation charges. Plus, we also get that Life of the Party ability that grants us +1 to our AC and advantages to drunken targets. Not to mention, we also get another debuff such as the Stunning Strikes that stuns our target for 1 turn. But that's not the best part of our build. We're gonna be utilizing our movements to trigger even more debuffs with the help of our main hand weapon, which is the Hammer Half Maul. This powerful weapon has the ability to send shockwaves of thunder damage when we use our jump ability in a 3-meter radius upon landing. Pair this up with a Callous Glow Ring that deals additional radiant damage to any damage sources. This means each of our jumps will deal both radiant and thunder damage. I think you already get the idea here. We will be doing this action multiple times, so the debuffs will be triggering multiple times as well. Your enemies won't have a chance to do anything. Most likely they'll be prone no matter what. To add even more tech to this build, we'll be using the Step of the Wind Disengage of the Monk that will remove the bonus action requirements, letting us jump away like crazy without any drawbacks. To push it even further, we're gonna use the Fly spell from any sources that we can get, such as a potion, spell, or scroll. In our case, we're gonna be using the Helldusk armor that provides that free spell. We're gonna be turning this build from the static nuclear monster into a highly mobile guided missile to blow up our enemies. In order to complete this build, we're just gonna add a couple of items along with the really important ones. As I mentioned, headpiece will be the Cold Brim hat, cloak will be the Thunder Skin cloak for another debuff that will be stacking to our enemies, which is the Daze. Armor will be the Helldusk armor or any dexterity scaling armor like the Armored Agility, provided that you have a source of the Fly spell such as a potion or maybe a scroll. Gloves will be the Gloves of Belligerent Skies for that thunderous conversion. Boots will be the Boots of Stormy Clamor. Amulet will be the Amulet of Greater Health for maximum constitution. Callous Glow Ring for the radiant damage. Frustration Ring for another debuff, which is the Radiating Orb when we use our spells like Guiding Bolt. Main hand weapon will be the Hammer Half for the shockwave effect. With all those items present, your gear will most likely look like this. Our super mobile guided missile of doom is ready to blow your foes and turn them into ash. Now, let's get into how we create this build. Now we're gonna jump into character creation and start off with the races. For the races of the build, you can get any race that you prefer for as long as you are happy with that race. But if you're someone who wants to min-max everything, there are 2 races that I would highly recommend. And it's just very simple, guys. Just increase your move speed and you're golden. The 2 most logical races are the Elf and the Half Elf. For both classes, they have access to dark vision, can see in the darkness up to 12 meters, as well as the Fey Ancestry, where we can't be charmed or sleep. The most important sub-race that we'll need from both of these elves are the Wood Half Elf version or maybe the Wood Elf version. That will increase our move speed by 1.5 meters. For the first class of the build, we're just gonna need to start off with the Druid. For the cantrips, grab any druidic cantrips that you like. Abilities will most likely look like this. We will be prioritizing Wisdom, Dexterity, and Constitution, especially for the early game. For the Wisdom will be our spellcasting modifier of our Cleric and Druidic spells. Dexterity will be our initiative and AC, and Constitution will be our HP and survivability, as well as our concentration requirements. Especially if you don't have access to the Amulet of Greater Health, you can put points in Constitution, but once you do, you can swap it out and put to Strength, or depending on your preference, you can just go either way. Jumping into progression at level 2 of our Druid, we will now have access to our specialization, which will be the brand new Circle of the Stars. This will give us the subclass feature Star Map that we can use our Guiding Bolt for free, as well as the Starry form that will let us transform into one of the new Starry Constellation form of the Dragon. For the prepared spells, grab any spells that you prefer. I'll just go with any transmutation spell that I can grab, such as Enhanced Sleep, that is very important, and Long Strider. At level 3 of our character, we will be jumping into our multi-class of the build into the form of the Cleric. We will just grab the subclass Light Domain that will be our bread and butter class so that we can cast that really powerful Spirit Guardian. For the cantrip, I just go with Toll the Dead. For the prepared spells, grab Bless, as well as a couple of healing spells. Level 4 of our character and level 2 of our Cleric. For this level, Radiance of the Dawn is unlocked. This is one of the most powerful wide AoE spells in the game. Level 5 of our character, level 3 of our Cleric, having access to a couple of really nice spells such as Aid, as well as Warding Bond if you want to be the tank of your party. Level 6 of our character, which is level 4 of our Cleric, we now have access to our first feat of the build, and we will just pour it into our Wisdom, putting it up to 19. If you have the Hair from Anti-Ethel, you can set this up to 20. For the cantrips, grab any cantrip that you want. I'll just get Produce Flame just to get elimination for my character. Level 7 of our character, which is level 5 of the Cleric, we now have access to the really powerful Spirit Guardian. Now level 8 of our character, we will now be jumping into our final multi-class of the build to really decimate our enemies and stack more debuffs to our opponents with the Monk. Level 2 of the Monk, which is level 9 of our character, we now have access to the really powerful Step of the Wind Disengage. This will remove the bonus action requirement of our jumps for one turn. Level 3 of the Monk, which is level 10 of our character, we will now specialize into the way of the Drunken Master. We will now have access to the Drunken technique and the Cheeky Tipple that will remove the negative effects of being drunk. Level 4 of the Monk, level 11 of our character, we now have access to the life of the party. Once we use our intoxicating strikes to our target, we will gain AC as well as advantages to our attack rolls. We also unlock our final feat to the build, which will be again ability improvement. We will just set our dexterity to 18. Finally, level 12 of our character, which is Monk level 5. We now have access to a free extra attack and the really powerful stunning strike unarmed that can stun our targets, making this build really nasty as it is. Now it's time for our live combat simulation in order for me to show you guys how ridiculously powerful this build can be. And as usual, we're gonna start off with the setup. For starters, we're just gonna use our Elixir of the Battle Mage. This will give us 3 arcane acuity. It is especially powerful because we are gonna be using some spells. But after that is use light to eliminate our main hand weapon so that we can get the advantage of our crustacean and Callous Glow ring. After that is we're gonna follow up with our Starry Form Dragon to give us that Dazzling Breath ability for free. Follow up with the Fly spell and add that Spirit Guardian max level to the mix. Finish up with our Table Wine to give us that alcohol drunken status. Now we're just gonna start off our battle using our Intoxicating Strikes to give our first set of debuff to our opponents. So we're just gonna use Intoxicating Strike using our action and a key point just to have a chance to deal the drunken status to our target. So we just got that. She is now prone and just got back up because of that ability of that reverb. She's just gonna try to move away from us like that. She still have the drunken status. So we're just gonna let her attack us because of our really nice cloak that will give that dazed condition. So having not too high AC is gonna be a really big advantage because of the dazed condition that we can stack our opponents. So that will also trigger the reverb and encrusted frost debuffs to our opponents. Notice here, we now have 4 stacks of reverb to that target and just exploded there. She connected to the damage and 4 stacks of reverb. They just exploded like so. We're just gonna move a little bit like that. We're just gonna activate our fly and get close to the boss as much as possible so that we can blow her up like that. She now have the reverb. And while we do that, we're just gonna jump once again to another location. Just keep it really tight there. So just we can just get into position and not waste much move speed. So she'll most likely blow up using the reverb. As you noticed, she now have the prone condition as well as the encrusted frost. So we just need to have 7 stacks of that and reverberation to easily do that. And we're just gonna jump really close to the boss as much as possible so that we don't waste any action points. We don't waste any move speed like that. See, you now have 2 stacks of reverb again. So we'll just use our breath here to add more radiant damage like that. And we can now end our turn. This build is ridiculously easy to implement and most likely you won't need any spells, or if you do, you can stack radiating orbs to any target later on. So we're just gonna use the example after our turn. So the boss is trying to move away. We can use our opportunity attacks because why not? So she just got prone again because she just attacked us and got the dazed condition. So that will also blow up and get that reverb stacking, which is really nice. So just let them attack us as much as possible. So one of our enemies just got prone and she's now lying there in a weird condition. So we'll just use For this example, the Radiance of the Dawn, one of the most powerful AoE spells in the game, to spread that really nasty radiant damage to our targets. And one of them just died in a weird condition like that. He's just jiggling there. Now we're just gonna jump to the boss, fly or jump like that. So the boss is dead. Just got really powerful damage right there. We can actually use our intoxicating strikes to give us more AC for this turn, for example, like this. So that didn't happen. So we'll just use our fly ability to jump in between. Give us more of that reverb explosions plus that radiant damage to trigger more reverb explosions and encrusted with frost debuffs, which is really nice. And just let us hit that. Don't actually care if they hit us because we have so much heals. It actually doesn't matter. So step here. They're dead once again. Oh, two of them died there. And after that is we're just gonna eliminate this opponent right here like a guided missile to its target. It just exploded in radiant and thunder damage, which is really nice. And we can end our turn here. And that's it, guys. That's it for the build. And what do you guys think? This is one of the really fun cleric builds that you might want to try out. Ridiculously powerful radiant damage explosion, plus that additional debuff stacking that everybody loves. If you guys have any thoughts about the build, would love to know all about it in the comments below. Shout out to all the people who subscribe and keep supporting the channel. I really appreciate you guys for all the amazing support. And for all the people who haven't subscribed yet, thank you for watching my videos. And I hope I earn your subscriptions in the future. But if you're in it today, please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button. If you love build crafting, modding, or interacting with the best community in Baldur's Gate 3, we actually have a Discord and we'll love to see you there. For more RPG news, builds, and mods, keep it here in this channel. Finally, that's it for me. I'll see you soon. The next Master Buck Show. Peace out. Bye, guys.